Hey guys, Jim here with another video for you. This is ranking the Star Trek franchise. But before we begin, at the end of this video, if you like what you see, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about Star Trek in general. Let me know what your rankings would be. Now, there are 13 Star Trek properties altogether. There were 6 with the original cast, 4 with the reboot New Generation cast, and 3 with the Kelvin Timeline newest reboot. This will not be the most aesthetically pleasing video because, as you can see, all of my films are included on these 2 box sets. The Kelvin Timeline films are here. The other 10 films are part of this ginormous Star Trek collection. So I am only going to be showing the discs. I also want to stress that these rankings are strictly on my own personal opinion. It has nothing to do with quality of film. It's just what I would rank on my rewatchability scale. So without further ado, we're going to jam right through this. We're not going to go into any plots too much or anything like that. We're just going to go from 13 down to number 1. And we're going to start off with number 13, the bottom of the bottom, in my opinion. Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Pretty self-explanatory. This was the 5th film in the original franchise with the original cast members. This one was directed by William Shatner. And without a doubt, it is the worst Star Trek property. It is just god-awful. Number 12, Star Trek Nemesis. Directed by Stuart Beard. This was the final film, with the Next Generation cast. Had a young Tom Hardy in this movie. Not very memorable. It's not a horrible movie, but it's definitely not very good. Number 11, Star Trek Generations. This was the 7th film in total. First one with the Next Generation crew. And this also had William Shatner and a couple of other cast members from the original making small appearances at the beginning, although Shatner does pop up again towards the end of this movie. Malcolm McDowell is also in this film. Again, not a horrible movie, just not very good. Next, Star Trek, the motion picture. This is the film that started it all. Again, not a horrible film. It's just slow. You could take about a half an hour out of this movie, tighten it up, and it would be much higher on the list because there are things in this movie that are absolutely great. But as it is, it's too slow. That's why it's ranked where it is. Next, we have Star Trek Beyond. The 3rd and final, as of right now, film featuring the Kelvin cast. Again, not a horrible movie. It's just not very, it's fine. It's a good movie. It's not very memorable. Then we have Star Trek Insurrection. This was the 3rd film with the Next Generation cast involving the Fountain of Youth. Again, entertaining movie, but lightweight. It's right in the middle of the pack, and that's exactly what this movie is. It's right in the middle of the pack. Then we have Star Trek Into Darkness. Directed by J.J. Abrams. This was the 2nd film with the Kelvin Timeline, featuring Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan. A lot of people don't like this movie because the Wrath of Khan is so beloved. This movie's fine. It's a totally different animal than that, and for what it is, it's entertaining. Okay, the rest of these movies, though, I really, really do love. First, we have Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. This brought Nicholas Meyer back to the fold. He directed Wrath of Khan and wrote Part 4, The Voyage Home. This was the final film with the entire original cast and also featured Christopher Plummer and David Warner as Klingons. This is a really fun movie. Then we've got Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, directed by Leonard Nimoy. I really enjoy this movie a lot. I think it's great. Again, a lot of people kind of shit on this movie somewhat, especially at the time. It has become more popular as the years have gone by. And again, I've always enjoyed this movie, especially Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon. All right, we're at the creme de la creme now, guys. Next we have Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Again, directed by Leonard Nimoy. This is the one with the whales. This one's probably the most fun out of all of the Star Trek movies, especially the ones with the original cast. This one constantly goes back and forth, in my opinion, as far as which one I prefer, Part 3 or Part 4. They're both equally great in my eyes. Then we have Star Trek. This was the reboot from J.J. Abrams, starring Chris Pine and Carl Urban. I was shocked how much I enjoyed this movie. It's just a lot of fun. That was number 3. Number 2, Star Trek, First Contact. This is the one with the Borg. And this movie absolutely kicks ass. I love this movie. But number 1, and it's not even close, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Directed by Nicholas Meyer, as I said earlier, and starring Ricardo Montalban as Khan. The quintessential Star Trek film. This is the movie that actually turned me into a Star Trek fan. I was a little bit too young for the original series, so I saw it in reruns, but I was a Star Wars kid. And I liked the original movie when it came out, but again, I thought it was slow. This movie, on the other hand, in the summer of '82, which to me is still one of the greatest summers in movie history, this blew my mind, and it is still, 40-odd years later, the best Star Trek movie ever made. So to recap, number 1 is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Number 2 is First Contact. Number 3 is Star Trek, the reboot. Number 4 is Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Number 5 is Star Trek, The Search for Spock. Number 6 is Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Number 7 is Star Trek Into Darkness. Number 8 is Star Trek Insurrection. Number 9 is Star Trek Beyond. Number 10 is Star Trek The Motion Picture. Number 11 is Star Trek Generations. Number 12 is Star Trek Nemesis. And number 13, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Out of the 13 films, this is the only one that I truly do not like on any level. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed these rankings. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe. But again, most importantly, leave those comments below. I would love to hear what your rankings of these films are, what your feelings about these films are, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.